A very special guest now. NATO's chief says Ukraine will eventually become a member of the security organization and reaffirmed the alliance's commitment to the war-torn country. Those comments come as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Romania this morning, meeting with other NATO leaders to iron out a substantial aid plan for Ukraine to combat the country's energy crisis. Meanwhile, this week in Washington, French President Emmanuel Macron will be at the White House for his first state visit of Joe Biden's presidency. Officials say the topics of discussion on Thursday will include global aid to Ukraine, Iran's nuclear program, and China's aggression in the Indo-Pacific region, among other issues. Joining us now, the French ambassador to the United States, Philippe Etienne. It is very good to have you back on the show this morning.
Great to have you here. Let's talk about the most pressing issue right now, the French national team. Are you guys going to go all the way and win it again?
Oh, well, I cannot say that. We must say humble. But first, thank you, Mika and Joe, for inviting me. I know football is a passion, even in the U.S. I see that. We were the winners last time, right? But and we are happy and proud of the first two games of the French team. But every game is a new story, and all teams are very motivated, very good. So far so good, and we look at this with hope, but also yes, remaining humble.
A very diplomatic answer. A plus.
Absolutely. Even in sport. Even in sport.
Even in sport, Mr. Ambassador. So what do you think the key? We were talking about energy this morning. There's maybe some differences between President Macron and President Biden. What do you think? What are the key issues they're going to be discussing this week?
Well, for sure, the confirmation of our strong unity facing the Russian aggression and supporting Ukraine and its people is a very important theme, including the fact that together with President Zelensky, our president decided to organize, with the U.S. support, a conference in Paris on December 13th to support this Ukrainian resilience through the winter in spite of the brutal bombings by Russia. But of course, also, this unity means to avoid any divergence in the economy, in the economic development. To remain united, we must keep the support of all our peoples inside, and to mitigate the economic developments, which could be negative, and finally also to convince the rest of the world to support us. So all this conundrum, all this, including global dimension of the war, will be, I'm sure, a very important point on the agenda.
Yes, and as the two leaders discuss that, is the expectation as the winter progresses that even if more support is needed, that there will be unity on that?
Well, I think it is the message we need, and we need to support Ukraine not only militarily, which of course is essential, but also to keep or to repair their infrastructures. And then in our own countries, also we have issues with energy, with the other consequences of the war, and also the consequences of the sanctions we have taken against Russia. So we have to mitigate this also, and on all these fronts to remain united together, as we have been since the very beginning of this aggression on February 24th. This unity is really important. It is an asset.
Mr. Ambassador, one of the things that France, perhaps, and America are not so united on is the Inflation Reduction Act, which European countries see as basically a subsidy to American manufacturers at a time when you've already mentioned European industries are themselves suffering because of the energy crisis and the war and inflation in Europe itself. How are you going to approach this with the White House? What can you say to President Biden? This is a done deal here in the United States. It's a popular policy that the Biden administration has implemented for American producers. How can you, what leverage do you have over America to try to get some relief from what you're seeing as a subsidy to U.S. producers?
Well, first, subsidies is okay to promote our policy goals, such as carbon neutrality. We welcome the ambition of the US in this respect. We try to do the same in the EU. The EU has been a leader in the fight against the climate change through active industrial policies. The need is for maybe a better coordination between these policies on the two sides of the Atlantic, and also the issue is not the Inflation Reduction Act or its policy goals as such, but some of its provisions. It's not only grants, but there are some provisions which discriminate against our companies, and this is the issue we try to solve, not only with France, but with the European Union as such. It is an EU-US discussion. Of course, our leaders will discuss the whole context, including this act and the way we can mitigate these effects. But the discussion is taking place also with the European Union as such, with a task force which has been created to try, as you said, if the change cannot happen at the level of the act itself, the legislation, in the implementation provisions, how to implement this new legislation in a way which does not discriminate against European companies.
Mr. Ambassador, here in the United States, almost a year in now, the will of the people, the will of this administration, the will of the government to support Ukraine against Russia remains pretty steadfast. There are some Republican members of Congress who have said it's time to scale back that support and focus on matters at home. The argument has been made that you can do both at the same time. But I'm curious about the will of the French people. Are they still behind this war, behind the people of Ukraine? And how long do you think that lasts?
Europe, the Europeans in general, the French people are closer, of course, to the war, but I see the same kind of discussions in Europe and in the United States. Also about how long it will last and can we support this? And the answer of our governments on both sides of the Atlantic is yes, we must continue to support Ukraine. At one point, we must have a political settlement when the Ukrainians are ready to decide it's time to negotiate. But for the time being, we have to support Ukraine, and we have to support it on all the different levels where they need support. And then the support of our public opinion, I think also in America, but in Europe, will also depend on the efficiency on our policies to mitigate the economic effects on the price of inflation, on energy. This is the reason also why I said that all these aspects come together and must be at the core of our unity, our determination to remain united between America and Europe.
Francis, Ambassador to the United States, Philippe Etienne, thank you very much for being on the show this morning. We will see you soon.